After they have spent literally millions of dollars developing a new car for the marketplace, automakers then spend a significant amount of money and time coming up with an appropriate nameplate to sell that vehicle under. I mean, BMW, it used to use the I brand as its special, unique, funky and futuristic brand. Yeah, that didn't last. Mercedes, the EQ nameplate, has now become name of the vehicle class with EQ technology on the back. And Volkswagen? The Volkswagen's getting rid of the whole ID nameplate entirely. And, well, Volvo didn't want to be left out. Volvo is known for making cars that stand the test of time, for nameplates that are legendary, the 240, for example.
Or, of course, the 340, my personal pet favourite with its elastic bands.
And those cars tend to keep the nameplate for a really long time. But apparently not for electric cars. See, this car here used to be known as the Volvo XC40. It was the slightly taller crossover sibling to the C40. And just to make sure that you knew it was electric, they added the word recharge on the end. Although, to be clear, it was also available as a non-electric vehicle.
But now it has been to court and changed its name. It's decided that perhaps its original monkeyer does not fit the way that the market has changed. And so, with just a little nip and a tuck, it's become the EX40.
And this car has had some substantial rework. It's a new battery pack, a new drivetrain, and new for 2025, a whole new infotainment system, and more powerful ARM chip at its centre. But does this still feel like a Volvo? Or, much like the EX30 I begrudgingly drove a few weeks ago, does it feel like a different automaker underneath? So this is the all-wheel drive performance variant of the EX40, which is available in a range of different versions depending on which part of the market you happen to be in. There's the rear-wheel drive, there's the rear-wheel drive extended, there's the all-wheel drive, and then there's the all-wheel drive performance, which is what we have here. It has a bonkers amount of power at the wheels, right?
About 300 kilowatts, that's about 408 horsepower.
Which for a car this size is nothing to be sniffed at. And, you know, when you want to, you want to bury your foot to the floor, it is quite obliging.
Yeah, it definitely can shift. It will get out of its own way, and it will get out of everyone else's way pretty quickly.
It doesn't quite tuck into corners as confidently as I might like. And it does have anchors that stop it pretty well. But it's just a little bit of worry that I have that maybe you could get caught out.
Yes, and I think it does give you a little bit more confidence at times than perhaps you should have. This is not, as you mentioned in the intro, the newest platform in the world. It's not the newest vehicle in the world, and you do feel that maybe a little more refinement could have been done with the suspension on this round of reworking, because I took it out for a spirited drive this morning and I found its limits. Reader, I found its limits. It didn't go wrong. The car did keep me safe. Everything stayed where it should, and I did manage to take the corner on the correct side of the road. But I did not feel like it was a confident journey around that corner, and it was certainly one where I used some brown adrenaline.
But you know, Kate, the more I drive this car, the more I am convinced it is a European car built for roads just like this. It's not about getting there quickly, it's about having a nice little drive.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you took this road and you were Clara Anderson and you did so in this vehicle, you could do it at quite some speed.
As a rally stage, you mean?
As a rally stage, yes. I'm obviously with road closed, using the best line through the corners, having someone in this seat telling you where the corners were. And...
I have to stop because it came some stone or something through Timo's seat. Up in the of Timo.
Anyway, you could do that, and it would be a very enjoyable drive. But driving it as a pleasant day out in this vehicle, it's really where it's happiest.
It seems to have a very well-behaved right foot balance. However, and this is something our DP commented on, and I've noticed it too, the null zone of the pedal doesn't feel quite right.
It doesn't really have much of one.
Right, so most EVs have a little bit of a null zone between on and off when it comes to power, between delivering power and having regen braking. And it doesn't feel like this car necessarily has that dead zone where you can easily coast. Now, the driver setup is eminently configurable, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can change the steering feel, you can change whether you have one pedal driving and things like that. I don't think you can do a lot with the suspension, though. I haven't found anything that's allowed me to do that in the settings.
No, and it doesn't seem to have this kind of the Polestar level of customizability. It would be nice to see that as an optional performance package.
Particularly in this, the twin motor performance variant, you'd expect. And I think that's one of the things that I have noticed is that it is a little skimpy on that area where you might expect a few more features for customizability about the driver experience. There's not that much.
But it's an eminently predictable drive. I always feel that the more predictable a car is to drive, the more you can push it. And I know you said, you pushed it a little bit hard earlier on, and it let you know in no uncertain terms where the limit was. But I think that's also a sign of a good car. The cars that egg you on to the point where you do something stupid and the car can't back you up, that's where we have problems.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that I found very reassuring and which allowed me to continue testing the car's performance chops, was that while it definitely let me know that that was too much, it did not let go. I didn't lose traction. I didn't end up losing my control of the vehicle. I just knew that was the very edge of the limit and I really should not be pushing it that hard.
And the limits are there, I think, because Volvo is so focused on making sure that, it doesn't have any fatalities in its future. And I remember being at those Volvo presses years ago where they talked about, zero fatalities, zero emissions. It feels as if Volvo is still working hard to achieve that, but has maybe dropped back on its timeline a little bit.
Well, I think I didn't experience the EX30. And I am slightly concerned that this vehicle, being the older one of the two, is closer to those aspirations than the EX30 is. And that maybe the design teams at Volvo, under the management of the parent company, are less focused on those very aspirational goals and more focused on, well, we need to get some cars out that compete.
You can one-pedal drive down this hill.
Yeah.
It's eminently possible. I think it would be enhanced if there was a way to adjust the regenerative braking dynamically using paddles, or possibly like that drive on demand setting that a lot of cars have. But when I came through here last week, I was surprised at how much range I actually was able to recuperate just coming down this hill.
Yeah, the recuperation works very well. I find that it's shift from that to braking when you actually do apply the friction brakes. That is very smooth. That's always a nice touch. Like it's not always that refined in some vehicles. Sometimes you get a fairly significant and noticeable shift, and in this, I feel like they've done a good job with blending the two.
And the steering wheel, the whole setup here, it just feels like you know where the wheels are, you know where the back of the car is. That's not a given in today's heavy SUV, massive battery pack vehicles. And we talked about the fact that this actually feels eminently better than the last car that we both drove together, the ZDX Type S.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed that.
Off camera.
Yes, off camera. That given the choice between the two, this is definitely the vehicle that we would pick of the two. Which is interesting because this is cheaper and it has less range on paper and it is smaller.
But it feels nicer.
It does feel nicer. It feels just like a better place to spend time.
It can fast charge much better. Like 150 to 170, it kind of peaks out and quickly racks back as the battery fills up. 11 kilowatt onboard charger. Those are all standard de facto things. Would I recommend somebody buy this over an earlier model? I haven't spent enough time with the earlier model to know, but I like what I see here.
I think if you do road tripping, like this is not a road tripping monster. This is not a car that you are gonna necessarily want to travel thousands and thousands of miles in a day, certainly. But if you are someone who has to do rapid charging on the road, I would pick the newer one just because the rapid charging is noticeably improved.
But look, you put your foot down there and it really picks up.
Yeah.
One thing I'm not so happy about is the fact that it kind of rears up a little bit. Not
does
as
a little.
much as the EX30, thank goodness. It still feels more planted than the EX30. And like you say, that is worrying because it implies that maybe Volvo's tech platform for this is actually better.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things is that a lot of newer EVs, I'm going to say it, they don't always drive that well because they are appliances on wheels.
And you have to ask yourself, are automakers chasing the wrong thing? This tech-forward, tech-savvy kind of focus takes away some of the joy of driving. And I think one of the reasons why I like the EX40 is that it doesn't do that.
I mean, I think mostly that is true. Where I think it falls down, and anyone who can see the dash, if we have the dash cam up for a second, will note that I have virtually every autonomous, semi-autonomous, and driver assistance feature turned off. Because Drive Pilot is not good. It is still not good. It is still a semi-autonomous driver assistance system. It's a level 2 plus.
Level 2, yeah.
Or level 2 because level 2 plus doesn't really exist. Which it tries to drive me into things. It wanders all over the road. It pulls the car in random directions. It tries to do things that make me feel unsafe. And if I engage the lane centering, then most of the time it's okay, the basic lane centering, but it just kind of weaves and it tries to sit at random places, which I find very uncomfortable. And so I find it bizarre that Volvo continue to work with their partner for the semi-autonomous driver assistance features, the kind of features that are required and expected by modern car buyers, that, to be honest, an awful lot of car buyers just never use. And yet this system seems so far behind everyone else. And I know Volvo is not really big enough to do this by itself, but it just, like, Volvos are meant to make you feel safe. And it made me feel really unsafe on multiple occasions.
And to be clear, you're differentiating between the active safety features and the passive safety features.
Yeah.
Because the passive safety features are second to none.
Yeah, they are absolutely fine. Like the emergency stop, the
warnings, the blind spot warnings.
The blind spot warnings, all of them. Actually, the blind spot warnings are excellent, really beautifully done. And then you try and use Drive Pilot and it goes, I'm going to drive into this wall. And you're like, maybe not. And it's rare that I actually just turn everything off. It's rare that I'm just like, no, this has made me uncomfortable enough that I don't actually want to do it. And here I am driving a Volvo, the car that should be the archetype for this is safe. And I'm like, under no circumstances. No, I'll just have the lane keep, thanks. And you can do the AEB stuff and we'll be good.
But let's turn our attention now to the UI and the usability, and then we'll talk a little bit about the interior as well, because there are some interesting things here. Now, getting into this car from the EX30, which doesn't have a dash behind the steering wheel, only has a center-mounted touchscreen display, was a breath of fresh air, because I like having the speedo in front of me. I like having the map in front of me. And I don't have a problem with center-mounted displays, because, well, look, we both have spent plenty of time behind the wheel of a Morris Minor. But the EX30's display for the Speed was not really that clearly visible. This has got a nice, clear, bright display. It's fully customizable. We've got Google navigation right now that's built in, because this is a Google tablet, basically.
And it does not require a subscription.
And it doesn't require a subscription.
It allows you to log in, but it does not require it.
You do have to sign into your Google account.
Yeah.
And how you feel about that. And there are some thoughts about security best practices, and, there are some concerns about, does this give the Chinese government access to your stuff? Volvo has been very clear about the steps it goes to keep your data safe. That is up to the individual to make your own security evaluations on that. And I'm not going to comment on that further. But you said that you felt some of the functionality and menus were still too distracting for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, one, I like buttons, as we know, and I say this every time. But if I need to get to stuff like the driver settings, let's say I want to change from the soft driving experience that we have now to the tight control of the steering function. Well, I need to go in there, and then I need to look and find driving.
Yep.
And then I have to scroll. I think it's right at the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah. And that, maybe you shouldn't be doing that while you're driving, but also people do. And I have seen, I have been in multiple Volvos recently, and I have just observed the drivers, and they do. They go into that driver system there and they fiddle with things because that's the way you adjust them.
And while there is a Google-based voice assistant here, most people still don't trust voice assistants because voice assistants have got a terrible reputation, and there's a limitation to what you can do with those voice assistants.
Yeah, they're often not very reliable, and also you need to know quite often the magic sequence of words that unlocks the particular feature that you're trying to access, and quite often that's not really obvious.
The message I'm getting for you is that you like the buttons, but you'd like more.
I like the buttons. I think it could be a little better. And I think this is definitely much better. Google's Android Automotive is definitely improving. It's definitely, as with Android and all Google products over the years, it starts in a place that is kind of functional and looks okay, and then it gets to a place which is actually functional, and then Google cancel it. But at the moment, it's in that sort of teenage phase where it's mostly pretty good, but it could do with a little more refinement.
Let's talk a little bit about the whole comfort and interior. Now, I quite like these seats. You've complained about their positioning and not being able to find comfort.
Well, I keep fiddling with this seat. I have not found a position that's actually comfortable. I found many positions that are not terrible, and as part of the roughly 50% of the population that have longish hair now, the position of the seat headrest is insanely forward for me.
It is.
Like, I have to sit like this, which is part of the comfort issue, is that I actually personally feel like I would be tempted to remove the head restraint because I quite often have my hair up, and at the moment, the hair clip, the ponytail I had it in earlier, all the things that I have done with my hair hit the headrest and shove me forwards, which leaves me unable to get into a comfortable position with the seat.
This has got adjustability for lumbar support. It's okay. It's nothing super exciting. I have the lumbar support pushed all the way back because I don't like lumbar support settings in seats. I like the fact that you can raise this seat up, you can raise the front cushion up, and there's also a little thing at the front to allow you to extend the bolster there.
Yeah.
So you've got a little bit more leg support, and I really like that. That's a really nice feature. But the rest of the interior is really nice. You've got this kind of, I believe this is like a veneer wood. Mm-hmm. Volvo's very big on its whole sustainability.
I will say it has wired Android Auto, not wireless, which is slightly frustrating given that you have the wireless charging adapter and then you just have to shove a cable in, which then doesn't fit in that hole.
I believe you can use wireless Apple CarPlay, but I wonder if it's a licensing thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because quite often when you have these Android Automotive-based head units, they don't let you have Android Auto at all. So I was actually just quite pleased to have the option to have Android Auto.
Right. Talking of entertainment, though, let's talk about the sound system. It's all right.
It is. I will forgive a lot for a vehicle that has a really nice sound system, and I had a good time listening to music in this vehicle.
As opposed to the EX30, and I'm sorry I keep harking back to it, the EX30, which has this sound bar at the front and this kind of very minimalist feel. It feels like some engineers at Harman Kardon actually sat down with this car and worked very hard to do it. The EX30 was technically proficient, but it had no soul. It feels like this car has a soul. So does the audio system. I hope, Kate, that this conclusion is pretty obvious. If someone's watched the review to this point, they know what we're going to say about it, or specifically what I'm going to say about it, which is it's a Volvo that doesn't feel like a Tesla. And after driving the EX30, it is a relief. I know that this is older than the EX30, and Volvo's all like, look at the EX30 and what the future's going to be like. And I'm like, can I just keep this, please? And like, I don't want to rehash the EX30 review. But there are buttons to adjust the windows and the mirrors, and there are physical controls, and I don't have to go 5 menus deep to do something. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration. 2 menus deep. And we talked in the review about driver distraction, and I disagreed with you a little bit, because this is far less distracting than the EX30 was.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that, had I have turned up for the EX30 review, would have been a big issue for me. As you know, like, one of my bugbears is when cars have too much time that you have to spend on the screen. And I have spent a fair amount of time in other Volvos recently for random reasons, and watching the drivers of them engaged in the, oh, I need to find this thing on the menu while they're driving is very concerning to me as a driver distraction. And it's true across much of the industry. And yes, this is better. I still think it could be better, but I don't think it's bad.
I also think, though, Kate, that we need to acknowledge that there is now a widening gap between cars designed for the Chinese market and cars designed for the rest of the world, or even cars designed for certain markets and for the rest of the world. I think in China, there is more expectation that the car is going to be much more like a smartphone on wheels, whereas we're now starting to see pushback in the US, in Europe, and in other markets from drivers who are like, I don't want everything to be touchscreen. I want to have physical buttons and controls. And I think that this is a manifestation of a car that was designed in the before times versus the EX30 and the EX90 that were designed to be ready for the next generation. And it really concerns me that this car is going to be going away before the EX30. And it's going to leave Volvo with a gap in its marketplace, which, look, we know who the target market for this car is.
Yeah, it's us. This car is designed for Gen Xers,
maybe
younger boomers.
And older millennials.
Yeah. People who grew up with Volvo, at least in Europe, as the brand that meant safety. Great for your family, great for your kids. It's a little bit different here in the States, where it has a slightly different kind of brand placement, but still, this feels like a Volvo.
Yeah, you get behind the wheel, you know where everything is, you have an air of confidence that the car is actually going to perform. The Thor's hammer headlights. It's been an icon for the Volvo brand for a long time. The EX30 has them, but this car feels like it deserves them. The headlight washers.
Proper Volvo.
Proper Volvo, old school. Front and rear fog lights. In the US, that's unheard of. I mean, some cars do get them occasionally, but it's normally the really super high-end luxury models that are made in such small volumes, they basically build one spec for everyone. But it has it. It has a proper frunk. It has an honest-to-goodness charge cable with a big chunky adapter. You can do a NEMA 1450 in North America, or you can do a 110 outlet. That's proper job attention to detail. I love the fact that the washers for the headlights are actually integrated into the wipers.
Yeah, it's really nice. It works so well, and it's something so many automakers don't do.
The interior, I know you don't like the seats. I find it actually a reasonably good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the interior is well put together and it is well designed. I just am clearly the wrong shape for the seat, because there is no position in which I find it properly comfortable.
Just pay attention to my previous comments about the more complex the seat, the less comfortable it is, in my opinion. And I think that's something that you've found as well. Decent sized wheels that are not ridiculous.
Yeah.
In an age where, a couple of weeks ago, we were driving a car with 22-inch wheels that weighed more than an entry-level F-150 Lightning. Decent-sized wheels, not over the top, decent-sized battery pack. That 220 to 250 mile range seems achievable. Yes, it's not a road tripping car, but I don't think this is designed as a road tripper.
No, I mean, it has a decent amount of luggage capacity. It will take you where you want to go, and it charges reasonably fast in the current genre of this is how fast cars are going to charge. It's not exceptional in any way, but it's good. And I think that's actually a thing that Volvo have done for a long time. My Volvo 340 was not an exceptional vehicle. It did not handle exceptionally well. It did not go exceptionally quickly. It did not do exceptional things for mileage. But it did all those things really well. And this one, it has a Volvo badge, and I feel like it deserves it.
I think the word that we're struggling to find is comforting. It is a comforting car. because you can get in this on a really terrible day and drive it and have the confidence it will keep you safe. The display is nothing that's going to be remembered in history as a revolution, but it's competent and comfortable. And the time I've had it reliable, I know people have had problems with the infotainment system on this car and over-the-air updates and all that kind of stuff. And Volvo has admitted that it's been a problem, as it's been for most legacy automakers. But it's got that air of comforting confidence every day. I don't want to call it mundane.
No.
I feel mundane would be the wrong word, but it's a car that I believe that you could buy and still be reliable and still want to drive 5 years down the line, which is not true of many EVs in the marketplace today.
5 or 10, 15. Like, I can see myself living with this vehicle.
Right.
There are a lot of cars that we have had that I really wanted to get shot of, as we may have hinted at in the last review. There are also a lot of vehicles that I've been, yeah, this is fine, I could put up with this. This vehicle, if I had to swap my Nero for something else, I would be fine with this.
Thanks for joining us today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page down below, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon or Blue Sky, or in fact, now our new website. Thanks to the list of names scrolling by on your screen right now. They are part of the massive community of supporters who make this channel possible, helping us through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and helping us to remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. We've got options available across a range of different price points from $1.50 US a month. A massive welcome to our newest supporters, Michael Anders, Tim Lynch, Kyriakos, Keith Irvin, Eric Printer, Chip Chandler, Marek Kowalski, Thornelli, Jake Alper, Howard Robertson, Dan Bow, Rex Baker, Bob F, Mark Brooks, Norman Davidson, Jean Lim, Lee Goldberg, Joseph Jarvis, John Taylor, Yaya, Kira Bell, Jim Richard, Andrew Honeycutt, Lee W. Benjamin, and Hacktor. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member today for your moment of fame, and you can now even gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and you can also send us a check through an old-fashioned PO box. There's a link to our website with the address below. Below, you'll also find links to our swag store, and if you are someone who has to shop on Amazon, please consider using our affiliate link so we get the commission, not Jeff Bezos. So we can continue to focus on making our content even better and reduce burnout. We are a little fresher these days with the days we release content, but we do plan on dropping new videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday on this channel, plus something on Sunday over on Transport Evolved Take 2. If you want to watch more from us, the algorithm that hates us thinks you should be watching this video, but this one is one that we think you will also enjoy. Be awesome, be kind, be intentional, and don't forget to resist. Keep evolving.